What's good, everyone? It's Chris Itzwa here, and welcome to another movie discussion video of mine. And today we're going to be talking about the summer movie season of 2017. Summer movie season has come and gone by now that August is over, and it was a summer that I was really looking forward to. And it ended up being a really interesting summer when it came to movies. And coming out of it, there were some very clear winners and losers that I wanted to go by. Now, in determining that, for winners and losers, you got to judge by critical reception and box office. Although for these type of videos, it's mainly box office. So let's go ahead and run down the winners and losers of summer season of 2017. And we'll go ahead and start off with the winners on this list. So let's go ahead and get started. So the biggest winner of the summer was easily Wonder Woman. Everyone involved with Wonder Woman, and by extension, the DC cinematic universe as a whole. I mean, you're talking about a rough year they had in 2016. I mean, yes, Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad, they were financial successes, but they were critical duds. And everyone was looking to Wonder Woman like, well, how's this going to be? But it ended up being an absolute home run hit for the DC cinematic universe. I mean, it ended up being a really good movie, easily their best reviewed movie, got critical praise as one of the best superhero films of all time, praise as a female led superhero film, and ended up doing just bangers. Great at the box office, man. Made over 400 million domestically, which no one saw coming, and almost ended up topping the worldwide gross that Batman versus Superman had, which no one had those kind of expectations for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman ended up making like over 600 million worldwide. The studio execs would have been excited by that, but the performance that it ended up having, being the biggest movie of the summer in the United States, and how well it did worldwide, and the critical praise it got, makes Wonder Woman the big winner of the summer 2017 season, and really gives people a lot of hope for the future of the DC cinematic universe, which makes it the big winner of summer of 2017. All right, our next winner is the continued success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe when it comes to box office. This summer, that box office gravy train just kept on rolling because Guardians of the Galaxy came out, was a big hit, did exactly what the studios wanted. I thought it was going to be the biggest movie this summer when it came to box office in the States. Got beat out by Wonder Woman, but still did really well, almost did 400 million, ended up doing over 800 million worldwide, so great success there. And then Spider-Man Homecoming came out and kicked ass, man. Was a great movie, ended up doing over 300 million in the States, 700 million worldwide. I personally thought it might have done a little bit better in the States and worldwide, but still, I think it met the expectations of what they wanted it to do. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe, man, it keeps on rolling. Those were two quality movies. Most definitely Spider-Man was. I love Spider-Man Homecoming. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon with the kind of performance those movies did. And hey, they still got Thor Ragnarok coming out this year, which that looks all kind of kick-ass. I'm looking forward to that. So long live the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Our next one is one that I don't think a lot of people would have thought of going into the summer, but that happens to be director Edgar Wright, man. This is a guy who has always made quality films, but he's never been able to achieve that commercial success. Like if you remember Scott Pilgrim from 2010, really fun movie, but was really just ended up being a box office flop. But that changed this year with Baby Driver, man. That was a little smaller scale movie that came out this past June and ended up being a really good movie, like almost all of his movies are, but ended up performing really well at the States, man. It was just that movie that just had that buzz with people talking about, hey, man, you seen Baby Driver? You seen Baby Driver? You seen that? That's a really good movie. And people who saw it, raved about it. I happen to think it was one of the best movies of the year. Definitely had a lot of fun with that movie. And that buzz really paid off because it ended up making on a budget of 20 million, made over 100 million in the States and 200 million worldwide. So that movie ended up being a big winner. But Edgar Wright, definitely as a director, he's the big winner because he was able to achieve that financial success, mainstream success that he's been looking forward to. So definitely Edgar Wright, another big winner of the summer. Another winner of the summer is the fans of the Despicable Me franchise, because with the numbers that Despicable Me 3 did, you're going to get another movie. Whether it comes out in 3 or 4 years, another movie's going to happen, because this movie, even though it didn't perform as well in the States as Despicable Me 1, 2, and Minions did, still made 250 million, which is a really good number. And you look up at the worldwide number, out of nowhere, it just makes over 900 million worldwide. I mean, when that's a down number for your franchise, it's a little lower than the previous films. You know you in good shape when it comes to your financial success. Me personally, the movie I do feel this franchise is a bit tired at this point. I didn't think it was as good as Despicable Me 1 and 2. Thought it was a lot better than Minions, which I thought was just a total piece of shit. This movie wasn't crazy about it, but I mean, this is still a franchise that people are going to go and see, and because of those numbers it did, fans of the franchise are going to get another movie. Hopefully, they can step their game up before this franchise really goes into the stinker. But man, Despicable Me, another big winner of the summer. And our final winner is a guy who's been a winner throughout his filmmaking career, and that is Christopher Nolan. This is a guy who makes movies that people just want to see. He's a true auteur and one that when people say his name on a project, they just get instantly hyped. And that's what happened with Dunkirk. People saw those trailers for Dunkirk, were really interested with the direction, how it looked, and because it was Nolan, and they went out to see it. And it helped that the movie ended up getting really good reviews. People praised the whole war aspect and technical aspect of the film, and so that helped to get people in the seats along with Nolan's name on it. And it ended up really satisfying people, man. What's amazing is that even though summer is a time for franchise big blockbuster movies like sequels and whatnot, here comes Nolan with a little war movie, not a franchise or anything big about it like that. It ends up doing really well, makes over 180 million in the States, has made over 400 million worldwide. Continued success, really ruled the second half of the summer box office season, ruled July and August really. So that ends up making Christopher Nolan a big winner because he makes movies people will go out to see. And low key, another winner I'll say is Harry Styles, because I really think that, as silly as it sounds, actually I don't think it's silly. I think this is true. I think he was a big draw for people to see this movie. I know that my sister, he went to see the movie just because of him, and Styles, he's got a whole bunch of fans. And I think even though it's not like he has a huge role in the movie, his involvement really got people to come out and see it and really help push the box office. As silly as it sounds, because it is Nolan, I do think Styles helped a lot. So Nolan and Styles, we'll call them joint winners for Dunkirk. Now, this next movie we're going to talk about, you could have put in either the winner or loser category, but when I really weigh everything and the final results for this movie, I'm going to put it in the winner category, but with question marks. And that winner in question marks is the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Now, you talking to someone who is a huge fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. I absolutely love the first three films. Thought part four was a huge piece of shit. And despite the reviews, I actually thought that Dead Men Tell No Tales Part 5 was actually a fun and enjoyable movie. I thought it was more in vein of the first three films rather than the horrible fourth film. But going by the movie's reception, was not received well at all by critics, has like a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. And you look at the final performance box office wise, was easily the worst performing in the United States of all the movies. Ended up doing 172 million in the United States, which is well below the previous films, which means it did not make back its $230 million budget. But worldwide, ended up doing 792 million. So basically, an $800 million movie. There are so many franchises which would kill to have an $800 million movie. So when I look at it, when the down movie in your franchise ends up doing 800 million worldwide, you're in pretty good shape. And what that means is that there is a definite market for these Pirates of the Caribbean for these films. And what the producers have to realize is that you see that there's an audience will definitely go out to see these films no matter what. Because even though 170 million is not a great number by any means for these movies, that is a lot more than some of the other big flops this summer made. So that shows that there is still an interest and people are entertained by these movies. And worldwide, there's a definite market. So if they can find a way to sort of boost the audience up for the US, I mean, you're talking about a movie that could have made like 900 million worldwide, and ain't no one talking about that being a flop. So I don't think this movie deserves to be put in the flop category by any means. I do think it's definitely underperformed. I think in the US for expectations people have, definitely underperformed in the US. But the way I look at it is that these producers got to realize is that if they can just up their game and make a movie that everybody can love and gets great word of mouth, then things will definitely be looking up for the Pirates franchise because people does still see Jack Sparrow. They still want to see these adventures, and with the Disney marketing behind it, they still have a really successful franchise on their hands if they ever want to go through with the Pirates of the Caribbean 6, which that's in doubt right now. It may or may not happen. 50-50 percent chance from my perspective. I'd like to see it as a Pirates fan, but if it doesn't, I think Pirates 5 wrap things up pretty nicely. But so winner in quotation marks the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise because, like I said, if the down installment of your franchise makes 800 million worldwide, you in pretty decent shape. So there you go with Pirates. And those are the winners that we have for the 2017 movie season. And let's go ahead and talk about the losers from this past season of movies. A big loser of the summer was Universal's Dark Universe, their attempt at starting a new shared cinematic universe with monsters, and they attempted to do that with 2017's The Mummy starring Tom Cruise. It's a movie I did not see, but anyone who's seen the reviews and reception know that this movie got absolutely panned and destroyed, and those reviews led to it really flopping at the box office. It made about 80 million in the states on a 195 million-dollar budget. 195 to 125. It's not quite clear how much it was, but in the 150s is what the budget was. Didn't make that back, and that is just an epic fail. Box office wise, and from a critical perspective, is just really bad because this is a movie I can only speak for myself that I was not excited to see by the trailers. And with every trailer I saw, I just said, man, this movie is going to need to be really good for it to be a hit because these trailers on its own, I just don't think it's that interesting. With all the blockbusters out there, it's just going to get eaten alive if it ain't a great movie. And when you're trying to start a shared cinematic universe, you cannot start off with a movie that just gets so widely panned. So that's really bad news for Universal's Dark Universe, but that doesn't mean that they can't turn things around. I mean, if the separate movies like Frankenstein or Werewolf can be good, then or Wolfman, sorry, then that can, that doesn't mean that the franchise is necessarily doomed, but definitely gets off to a rough start and rough summer for Tom Cruise between this movie flopping and his Mission Impossible 6 injury. So bad summer for Cruise and a very, very bad summer for the start of Universal's Dark Universe. Our next loser is Ridley Scott. Specifically, the loser is having faith in Ridley Scott when it comes to the Alien franchise. When he came back to the Alien franchise with 2012's Prometheus, a lot of people were really hopeful going in because the Alien franchise had really suffered with the prior with the installments after Aliens. But people were hopeful because Ridley Scott, he's the OG when it comes to Alien franchise. He was the first director with 1979's classic Alien. But Prometheus really polarized people, man. Some people really liked the different approach to take. Other people hated it, didn't feel like because it didn't feel like an alien movie. Count me in the second group. Not really a fan of Prometheus at all. Kind of hated the movie, but then he comes back with this movie, Alien Covenant, which he's coming off the Mars, and so people thought he had sort of returned to form, and we were in for a good movie. And me personally, I think the movie's okay. I can admit I did enjoy the movie as sort of a horror sci-fi film, but the film really polarized Alien fans. Man, there were people who were just not a fan of the movie at all. With the characters, the direction it took the story, and the context of the other movies, and when it comes to this movie being a prequel, and this movie at the box office just did not go do well at all. And between this and another movie, big movie, I'm going to get to later on, probably the biggest surprises when it comes to domestic flops for me, man, because the marketing, I thought the marketing for this movie was killer. It looked like a really cool sci-fi film. I mean, they were showing off the xenomorph doing its thing, and people love that xenomorph. I thought the movie was just going to be a really, not a huge hit when it comes to being a blockbuster, but just a really solid, steady hit throughout the summer. But it just completely flopped, opened badly, and only made 70 million domestically. Was able to make a little bit of decent cash worldwide with over 200 million, but that is just not what people expected for an Alien franchise, especially with Ridley Scott directing it and with the kind of marketing they put behind this movie. And it really puts the future of this current franchise in doubt, man, because he's really polarized the audience with both movies. So who knows what's going to happen with the Alien franchise going forward? Maybe they need to bring back Ripley back if they want to get a little bit more positive buzz going forward. That probably wouldn't help too much, but hey, who knows? Maybe it will. But as for this current prequel series and having faith in Ridley Scott's take on Alien, big loser of the summer. Our next loser is those people who were hoping for a Cars 4. Cars 3 did not perform well at all at the office. Now, you're talking to someone who, before Cars 3, was somewhat of defender of the Cars movies. I think the first Cars movie is a solid movie. Not great by Pixar standards, but it's a solid, decent animated movie. And the second movie, while definitely not great, probably not even good. As a kids movie, just as a silly movie, it's okay. I think it's entertaining enough. Cars 3, I did not like at all. And what hurts is that Cars 3 actually tried to be more like Cars 1 and actually tried to be like a legit good movie with an emotional story, which did work at times. But overall, I just thought the movie was really dull. But the thing is, with Cars, you just think that's going to be an instant hit with the type of merchandise the movie does with toys and the type of success the first movie had, and it's got the Pixar Disney name on it. You think that's just going to be an instant success. And it's not like there wasn't marketing for the movie, but the movie, oh my God, was for me, it's a huge surprise how badly the movie did. Only did 150 in the States, and worldwide hasn't even made 400 million yet. It's in the 300 millions. And that is just really bad numbers for this franchise, for Cars, a series that, even though critically it hasn't been great, people, they've gone out and seen the movies, and this is just a really bad number for this franchise and for the future going forward. I mean, who the hell is going to greenlight a Cars 4 with these kind of numbers? Unlike Despicable Me 3, which was a big hit, Cars 3, anything but. And it really shows that even the kids, they don't give a shit about this franchise anymore. And the kids don't give a shit. Why should the adults give a shit? And why should the studios give a shit? So, people hoping for the Cars 4, you are a definite loser of the summer. A movie whose failure has sort of gone under the radar and unnoticed by I think a lot of people, but I sure as hell ain't going to forget to mention it. And that loser is War for the Planet of the Apes, the film as a whole, when it comes to the box office. And it's really sad to say that because this truly was an incredible movie, a great end to the Planet of the Apes trilogy, which is just a terrific trilogy and some of the best modern blockbusters made recently. But unfortunately, the movie just for whatever reason did not do well. And I say for whatever reason, I think I know why. I just don't think it was released at a bad time. It came in between a lot of blockbusters like Spider-Man: Homecoming, Dunkirk, Despicable Me 3, and Planet of the Apes isn't a franchise that's ever going to do gangbuster amazing numbers no matter how great the movie is. And I think it just got swallowed up by all the movies around it. I think it was just a bad time of the year it was released. The movie would have done so much better if it was released like maybe in August, which this past August was one of the worst months for movies I've ever seen, especially during the summer. The movie Apes would have just done fantastic in that month, but in July, just too many movies just to swallow it whole, and really ended up being a big disappointment at the box office, which is sad to see because, like I said, it was just a really well done movie and a movie that deserved a lot better. But I can only feel so bad for it just because it did get critical acclaim, and people are going to be talking about the movie during Oscar season, and everyone loves the movie. So even though you would like to have box office acclaim and critical praise, if you can get critical praise or one or the other, you're in decent shape right there. But it would have been nice to see the movie done better. But the box office makes War for the Planet of the Apes another loser of the summer. And the final, most interesting failure that we're going to talk about is the failure of Transformers The Last Night. And that makes another loser of the summer, the Transformers franchise. Now, you're talking to someone who is a fan of the Bayformers franchise, you can say. I mean, it's a franchise that just has some elements I really enjoy and that I've remained fiercely loyal to, even though there's no shortage of flaws in these movies. But you take my feelings for the franchise aside, the Transformers franchise has always been the definition of a critic-proof franchise. I mean, after the first movie, which generally got pretty positive reviews from the critics and the audience, the past three sequels, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, and Age of Extinction, have just gotten really bad reviews. I guess Dark of the Moon got mediocre reviews in hindsight, but definitely Revenge of the Fallen and Age of Extinction just got panned by critics as some of the worst movies of that year. And especially Age of Extinction just was absolutely destroyed by critics and hailed as one of the worst movies of all time by a lot of people that I've seen. But even in spite of that, the movies have always done terrific at the box office, man. The past two movies, Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, over 1 billion for each at the box office. So you know that even though despite these movies getting bad reviews, people are definitely going out to see them. And I think these producers of these movies, Michael Bay and company, got really cocky and thought they could replicate the same formula for Transformers The Last Night and expect that to be okay. Trying to get a cinematic universe on track. And unfortunately, they made a movie that got the worst review of the series, but I guess they still expected money. But Transformers The Last Night broke the trend of yes, it got panned, but it also didn't make much money because in the US, it was an absolute bomb by the previous film standards and by going by the budget. On a budget of 217 million, only made 230 million in the US, which is that is far below the previous films. But you expected that even if the movie did bad in the US, worldwide it's still going to be a huge hit, right? Wrong. Worldwide numbers went way down. Like I said, previous movies did a billion worldwide. This movie only did 600 million, which is really surprising because you would think that something like Transformers, that's just going to be appeal to people no matter what, just because of the huge spectacle, action, and effects and whatnot. But it showed that the international audiences really got tired of this franchise, man. And well, at least the current direction that the films were going in. And to me, I'm so disgusted by the filmmakers behind this movie because they were trying to follow the trend of trying to get a cinematic universe started. I mean, they got all these films lined up, but you can't have a move. This franchise could not survive another Revenge of the Fallen or Age of Extinction review disaster where you just get the thumbnails on YouTube from hell, just talking about how bad this movie is. I mean, just by the thumbnails, you could see how much people hated this movie. And the fact that they went ahead and made a movie that got the worst reviews of the franchise by, well, not by far, but just really bad reviews in general. I mean, what the hell did they think were going to happen? There's only so many times your franchise can survive just epic beatdowns from critics. And Transformers, they did not get the times of realizing that, box office is sort of being determined by reviews. And when your movie just gets horrible word of mouth from critics and the audience, you're just in big trouble. Now, it's not like this franchise is currently being canceled right now. They still got the Bumblebee movie going, which I actually do have hope for just because it's a different director and creative team behind that movie. So I'm really hoping that movie can be good. But the current direction of the Transformers franchise shows that things are in major need of a shakeup and that the age of bad movies being box office successes are just clearly over because Transformers was that dictionary definition of a critic proof franchise. But with the numbers the last night brought in, makes it really just the biggest surprise of the summer to me in terms of how the movie did because I don't think anyone expected Transformers the last night to bomb. But with the type of movies the movie made in the US and the really underwhelming movies numbers worldwide not a bomb, but definitely underwhelmed. But in the US, Transformers the last night is the dictionary definition of a bomb and a major disappointment in general. Our final loser is Common Sense, and that's the common sense of the studio Lionsgate for greenlighting Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. I have no idea how anyone thought it could have been a good idea to greenlight this film. I mean, with every trailer I saw for this movie, I just said, yep, that's gonna bomb. That's gonna bomb. That's gonna bomb. I don't care if it gets good reviews. It's gonna bomb. And to me, it was such a weird unappealing looking sci-fi movie that did have some decent looking visuals, but when it came to the story and the characters, I mean, who cares? And to release it in the middle of the summer, I just knew it just was not going to do well at all. I mean, to me, it's like 4 years or 5 years too late in trying to replicate Avatar and putting Dane DeHaan and Kyra Delevingne as the stars, two of the most unappealing uh young actors when it comes to their chemistry and performance to me. I mean, we all saw how Delavigne was in Suicide Squad. Oof. To put them as the leads for the movie, that didn't do this movie any favors. And just the type of movie, the way it looked, you just knew it just wasn't going to do well at all. And from a studio not to have the common sense to realize that this type of movie, what this movie was going for, well, wasn't going to do well, shame on them and their common sense. Because the movie, on the budget of, it looks like it's around 190 million, only made 40 million in the US and did 210 worldwide. I mean, oh my God, you factor in the marketing, that's probably the biggest flop of the year. It may not be the most high profile because I don't think a lot of people give a shit about this movie. But when you just look at the numbers, huge flop for Valerian and epic fail for Lionsgate, and they're the big loser for not having the common sense to realize, you know what, maybe this one isn't such a good idea. So there you have it with the winners and the losers for summer of 2017. To me, the big winner was easily Wonder Woman in the DC Cinematic Universe. Wonder Woman for its critical acclaim and box office, and it definitely heightens the future for the DC Cinematic Universe going forward and really boosts what Justice League can do. And I think the big loser was bad movies automatically doing well at the box office. This is a trend that we saw starting in 2016, but it really carried over for 2017 with movies that when they get bad reviews, that really just hinders what they do at the box office. When you see how The Mummy and Transformers The Last Night did. So that was the big loser in general right there. But overall, it was a really interesting summer to look at. I love when there's a whole different aspects to look at in the summer when it comes to winners and losers and how things aren't just how it's not just a clear direction how things are heading. There's lots of different directions. So that's why I enjoyed the summer. And there were some movies that I did really enjoy. Actually, plenty of movies I really enjoyed. I hope what this means going forward is that studios realize they got to up their game when it comes to quality of movies. Now that bad movies are really going to suffer at the box office now when you see how the trends are going. So hopefully the Transformers franchise can definitely learn from that and a bunch of other franchises that are trying to start off a cinematic universe. And now looking forward to the fall and winter movie season. There's definitely some stuff I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, you got The Last Jedi, Justice League. We'll see how that turns out now. And Thor Ragnarok, that looks kick ass. But even some smaller stuff like It, which at the time this video is coming out, that movie's coming out this week. And I can't wait to see that movie. That looks horrifying, but in the way it's supposed to be. So definitely some more stuff, good stuff in 2017 coming out. Hope y'all enjoyed this review. Look out for some reviews of some of the more high profile movies coming out for the rest of the year. And I will see y'all around with another video.